Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about Druid Covenant abilities and which one we should be picking, why we should be picking it, and all that good stuff. Now I've actually recently just changed from Night Fae to VENTHYR. The reason for that is I really wasn't enjoying Convoke the Spirits. Um, in theory it should do really well, and there should be a lot of stuff you can do with it. But I always find it just a little bit too inconsistent. There's been times where it's bugged out and it's just done full heals when I've needed the damage. There's been times when it's just not worked. I mean, it really hasn't done very much at all. Also, the fact you get things like a full moon proc can make a big difference to how effective the ability is. I just find it's a little bit lackluster and not guaranteed every time. And I want consistency. I want to be able to pull a pack and know that I'm going to be able to pull the same amount of damage on that pack 15 times of killing it, rather than one time I'm going to get this proc, one time I'm going to get that, and the damage changing quite drastically. So I've gone to VENTHYR, which gives me the Ravenous Frenzy ability, which, for those of you that don't know, because again, not a lot of boomies are playing Ravenous Frenzy, for 20 seconds, Druid spells you cast increase your damage and healing by 2%, and your haste by 1%, stacking. If you spend 2 seconds idle, the frenzy overcomes you and consumes 1% of your max health per stack, and stunning you for 1 second and ending. So the whole point is you become a turret. You just start focusing, doing lots of damage, and you don't worry about moving or anything else. Now you can obviously pop a Starfire if you need to move in things like Mythic Plus, Starfall, sorry. So there's ways to play around it to get the most out of it. Me personally, since playing this, I've had so much more fun on Boomy, and I've still been effective. I did a miss the other day when I ran in on the first pack. We pulled almost the entire first little area, so about 15 mobs, and I pulled 30k DPS. Now I understand that there are other Boomies doing that with Convoke, and there are other Boomies doing that with Kyrian. There's not many Boomies doing that with VENTHYR because it's kind of off meta. So what does VENTHYR give you that Night Fae doesn't? So I think it's more controlled and guaranteed AoE burst. Your single target burst does suffer quite drastically. As you can see, I'm just kind of running a key in the background here, but I was holding sort of 7-8k DPS there as VENTHYR with Ravenous Frenzy. Again, it's only a 2, so I could just blast, not a problem. But Convoke, I would have been bursting like 15k. I've just done nothing in the meantime. I'm finding the Soulbinds on VENTHYR are much more fun to play with as well. As Night Fae, it's all based around your Convoke. You are very good for that very short period of time, and after that you are lackluster for the next 2 minutes, is how I feel. That might not necessarily be entirely true. Obviously, Boomies, if we get a big enough pack, Starfall's still going to do a lot of damage. If we get to Lunar Eclipse, we're still going to be doing a lot of damage with that as well. But I just find that we're not doing very much. We don't feel very strong. And again, that's a big part of why we play the game, right? We want to feel like we're strong. We want to feel like we're powerful. Whereas with VENTHYR, I'm finding that one of the two soulbinds, so one of them gives you a haste proc if you stay in combat long enough. So you see this run right now where we're chain pulling things. That allows me to keep building them haste procs, and actually they are lovely. Now in this one, I was just trying a different soulbind with the Parasol, which gives me mastery as long as I'm stood in the area. Now it didn't proc loads, but it did proc enough for me to enjoy it. And actually, towards the end of this run, which you might not be able to see, there was occasions where I was actually playing around, popping a Starfall so that I could stay in the mastery circle. But between the two, it's really fun to actually play around and have engaging content between the 2-minute windows of Convoke. The other part is Ravenous Frenzy stacks really nicely with Celestial Alignment, both of them being a 3-minute cooldown. You also get another legendary choice. Now, while Boat is probably the best one for us, Balance of All Things, the Crit Legendary, it's probably still the best one for single target and for raids and things like that. For Mythic Plus, we can actually play Pulsar. If you play Pulsar, then you all of a sudden start getting access to really long duration incarnations, which give us a little bit more single target, sustained over longer times. And you're getting them proccing throughout the dungeon as well. The Celestial Alignment procs throughout the dungeon. Now, I don't actually have Pulsar yet, so I'll be getting that on Wednesday. When I get that, I'll be posting a video and just going, this is what it feels like to play VENTHYR Pulsar. I think that's the combination that I want to play in Mythic Plus. And I understand there's a lot of people that's going to say it's unoptimal or it's anti-meta or things like that. And yes, I have already been kicked for groups because I haven't got Convoke the Spirits, which is ridiculous. But we all knew it could happen going into this expansion, people getting invited if there's certain covenants and things like that. Now, I've kind of talked about VENTHYR and Night Fae. Just to sum it all up, I'm enjoying VENTHYR a lot more. There's a lot more control to it. However, it doesn't quite have that big burst that Convoke has. Convoke does more on every 2 minutes. VENTHYR feels like they do a little bit more in between the periods of burst. I haven't really talked about Kyrian. Kyrian is probably the one I would go if I was in a team. I think it is the strongest one if you're in a team. Having someone else to connect that big burst to, a hunter, a mage with combust, anything like that, you do so much damage in that little beam window that VENTHYR just wins out, I think. The issue is because I'm not running in a sustained team, I'm trying to work with pugs. And with pugs, I'm finding VENTHYR is brilliant because I know roughly what I can pull on a specific boss. I know what I can pull on a specific pack, and I can guarantee being able to do that short of something going wrong. Obviously, if Convoke goes wrong in any way, I lose all of that and it becomes a bigger issue. But yes, this is just a short video, just talking about the kind of pros and cons of the different covenants. Now, I haven't really talked about Necrolords. I played Necrolords while leveling as Boomy. I actually really enjoyed it, but it's only very nice single target, and even then, it's just not very optimal, which is why just people aren't playing it right now. The other part is, while it gives you a defensive, which is very nice, it doesn't give you any mobility. I find I use Dora Shadows a lot, and I find myself relying on it now that I've got it. I didn't really use Soul Shape as much as I am using Dora Shadows. I think it's a fantastic ability and very fun to use. So yes, probably a little bit biased, but I am finding VENTHYR to be the best one for me so far. Just to talk about the other specs then, just very briefly, because I do off-spec Guardian, I do every now and again play Resto. Resto, I've started running Incarnation. It lines up with the Ravenous Frenzy. You can also innovate yourself for that duration as well, so you can just spam healing out with Ravenous Frenzy. If you don't want to run Incarnation, you don't have to. But if you link Innovate and Ravenous Frenzy off, it is off the global cooldown, so you can pop them both in a macro. Very fun to play. The healing you can kick out in that duration is insane. As Guardian, VENTHYR is probably one of our strongest. It's a very big burst. If you link that with Incarnation, you can run into packs, especially with Ursox Fury. Run into a massive pack. I've done some huge pulls, especially this week with Necrotic. I've done some absolutely massive pulls and just been completely fine. Pretty much ignored damage. I've pulled 8-9k HPS with the Absorb, because you're getting the extra haste, you're getting the Incarnation stats, you're getting the legendary buffs. Between it all, you're doing so much that it all synergizes really well together. I haven't actually played Ravenous Frenzy Feral yet. I've got a raid at some point, either today or tomorrow, that I'm going to try Frenzy Feral in the raid, and I will let you guys know in the comments how that goes. Just before I go from this video, if there's anything else you guys want to specifically see, if you want to see, I don't know, sort of a 13, 14, 15 Boomy key or Resto key with a specific legendary or anything like that, please leave it in the comments and I will absolutely do what I can to do it. My main two specs are Guardian and Boomy, so if you want to play either of those, if you want to see anything of any of those, please let me know and we'll get that done for you. Okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. There'll be another video tomorrow. Subscribe if you liked, and I will catch you later. Goodbye.